You're listening to a special presentation from Night of the Living podcast, Zoned Out, the Twilight Zone Revisited, with Freddie and Joe. And joining us again this week, special guest, Matt Hoffman. Oh my God. Eye of the Beholder. We've made it to maybe one of the quintessential episodes. And at the end of the episode, we got Matt's song, Eye of the Beholder.
Nice.
What a treat. Stick around.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was just
Very
like a ukulele track and it was kind of like a whatever happened to Baby Jane kind of thing?
We'll never, maybe it is.
It could
we'll
be.
never know.
That's a riff off of Rainbow Connection.
From a weird spoken word piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one again, people call this a horror episode, and I feel you could go a couple of different ways with that, but yeah, you know, we'll get into it. This one originally aired November 11th, 1960, 7th of 9 episodes, directed by Douglas Hayes. If you go and listen to And When the Sky Was Opened, we get into more about him. This was written by Rod Serling, had a cast of 8, including Serling. Janet Tyler, under the bandages, was Maxine Stewart. The only time she appeared on the show, you hear her voice through most of the episode. The doctor is William D. Gordon, and he was a nervous man in a $4 room. He was George, I think was his name, right? He was the guy pushing the little guy around.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Janet's nurse
George?
is first and only appearance by Jennifer Howard. What's cool about her, she was one of the founding members of the Actors Studio in New York back in 1947. And she's the mother of Tony Goldwyn from Ghost and various other like jerk roles he had over the years. The leader, first and only appearance by George Kemis, who he was like he played heavies. He had he kind of like skin kind of like a Edward James Olmos, acne scarred, pockmarked skin. So they cast him a lot of roles to fit that look. Tough guy,
Rough looking tough guy. Yeah.
The reception nurse, only appearance by Joanna Hayes. That's the wife of the director. Now, their son went on to write for Farscape and Hunter and The Fall Guy, like fun shows, you know, mostly. Walter Smith, first appearance by Edson Stoll. He's going to come back in season 3 for The Trade Ends, where he's one of the older people that's turning their body in for a younger model. He's one of the younger. He's the younger body version. He was a bodybuilder. This guy, he was a beefcake model. Edson Stoll. He was on McHale's Navy. Was the thing he was known for. Virgil Edwards, but also being just a big hunk of man meat. Janet Tyler revealed. That's Donna Douglas, who I think all of us know as Ellie Mae Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies. She's going to come back in Cavender is coming in season 3. Did you not realize that was her?
Make the connection.
Yeah. You know what's weird is I've been watching the Beverly Hillbillies. That might be why I spotted it right away.
That is wild.
There's a lot of connections between these two series, like just because I guess a lot of the MGM lots were used for, you know, all these shows. Yeah, she didn't start until she was like 30 years old. Her career started.
I remember as a kid having a crush on Ellie Mae, and like now this makes sense because I thought that, well, we'll get into it later.
Foxy lady, she's from Louisiana. She does it. Oh, there's a howl. Hi, baby. I have a very elderly dog in here with me. Yeah, she's behind.
That's the truth.
But yeah. Ellie Mae, yeah, it's great. One of the commentaries on the Blu-ray is by Ellie Mae, and a lot of it is her in that Louisiana accent that takes me back to like summers when I was a kid. We'd stay down in Houma, which is near New Orleans, but that accent is so particular. The episode, this one was remade in the 2000 series they did with Forrest Whitaker was hosting, I believe.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't remember seeing that episode of it. I'm kind of shocked they remade it.
I wanted to watch it before this podcast. I didn't get around to it. I was curious if you guys had seen it because I do know they made it, in the 2000s.
Same. We'll have to watch it before the next time, I think, and just see how it holds up because I'm really curious.
I am too.
It would be hard to do it and not give it away. You know what I mean? Like, because this is so well done, and I don't know.
It's so, I think like a certain age of people kind of know the story already, you know?
Yeah. So iconic.
Yeah, the idea. First, this episode, when I think of this world and I think of how they just stand around smoking cigarettes, these pig face people, I just start laughing so hard at myself. All of them just sucking darts left and right. So we get into this when you get to the story. That why I have a question. This is like why 11 experiments is when they have to stop. You know, why not just make 10 louder? And then there's a futuristic TV sets in this, like, you know, like pretty cool shit there. And then I don't also, when we get into it, the doctor tells her to be very quiet while he's removing the bandages. Be very quiet.
Yeah.
It just kills me. But yeah, actually, I'll tell you what, we should get into the meat of that. We will be right back after this. All right, guys. Joe, you want to do the honors?
Yeah. All right. So I didn't take a ton of notes because it's a lot of this is just kind of going through the moment of this. Starts out and there's a woman in a bed and her whole head is bandaged up. She looks like a mummy with no eyes, no nothing. And she's talking through these bandages. And nurse comes in. She's in the hospital, and nurse comes in and says, you know, come for your sleeping medicine, honey, and giving her a little bit of sleeping sedative to help her go to sleep. And there's some conversation between her and the nurse, and then she just said, you know, I just want people not to scream when they look at me. And the nurse is like, you know, takes care of her and then heads back out, and then you see the nurse having a real conversation with the other nurse who's like, have you ever seen her face, 307? Meaning the patient in 307. And the second nurse says, indeed I have. If for mine, I'd bury myself in a grave someplace. Poor thing. Some people want to live no matter what. You want a cigarette? I just remember that moment being like, wow, some people want to live no matter what?
No matter what.
Harsh.
No matter how ugly they
Ouch.
are.
Dang.
That's rough.
And so we get that first voiceover of suspended in time and space for a moment. Your introduction to Miss Janet Tyler, who lives in a very private world of darkness. A universe whose dimensions are the size, thickness, length of the swath of bandages that cover her face. In a moment, we will go back into this room, and also in a moment, we will look under those bandages. Keeping in mind, of course, that we are not to be surprised by what we see, because this isn't just a hospital. And this patient, 307, is not just a woman. This happens to be the Twilight Zone, and Miss Janet Tyler, with you, is about to enter it.
Right up.
So the sequences shot before this intro were the only ones where the doctors were not actually in makeup. And
yes,
I feel like it is very obvious given today's transfer quality, at least from what I was watching. I was looking at a human face, which would make me like very clearly in whatever transfer I had of this that I'd rewatch this now. And so I feel like immediately, if I were showing this to like my kid who'd never seen it, right off the bat, I feel like the twist would start not making sense because you would be like, I just saw that was definitely like a human face. So that's like something where there's a charm to these older, shittier VHS or, you know, just obviously being there back watching it that I feel everything's too good now. Everything's just too good. It's too clear too. We shouldn't be retransferring this and enhancing it, at least not this episode. This episode, I feel it needs to be left alone because then you enhance it too much, it starts ruining things.
You could turn the brightness like down or the maybe
you almost got to like mess with it yourself.
You have to
be like when you start a video game where you're like, you must adjust your brightness down.
I'm also just curious if like, I guess this is a good enough time as any to get into it. This is maybe a hot take. I don't mean to be like curmudgeon-y, but I feel like I'm not into this episode, and I don't know if like it's great dialogue, the writing, the message is cool, and it's presented cool, but the visual gimmick it's so, and I don't know if it's so obvious because I've seen it 1,000 times or because it's been in pop culture. And I'd be so curious to like show a kid who has no idea about this, go, hey, just watch this and just see what happens when you get to the end or whatever. And would they be surprised? Would they immediately be like, why are they not showing people's face? It all just seems so obvious. And I know that in 1959, this was like, we hadn't seen it, century, decades and decades of media that have parodied and done other now even more groundbreaking things that probably evolved from this type of episode. And back then it was amazing and no one would have thought of it. But we're in an age where like, if I show something to a kid, everyone's just like looking for a twist or looking for an ending or like, what am I watching? What's the point of this? And so I feel like it's just, you almost like this episode doesn't, and I hate to say this because it's like so classic, but I feel like it no longer holds up, sadly. And the last thing I would say is, I was thinking, I go, this is the kind of vibe of this is so much like Number 12 looks just like his season 5 episode. And much like all of these that I watch because I'm on guesting on your podcast, I kind of like revisit them. And I know them as though I remember them from seeing them so much, but it's been so long. And I went and rewatched Number 12 looks just like you after watching this, just to see if that is a great episode that is so poignant to today still, that kind of does like a similar message. I feel better. And again, I feel almost like dirty saying that about such a classic episode because I should be loving this. And I feel like I always used to love it, and rewatching it now, just like I kept being like, it's not doing it for me this time. I don't know.
Well, there's something too about like the world is kinder, like it's such a cruel world in the episode they've created that it makes the pig people look like they have no empathy really in the long, like compared to humans or whatever. Like, were we that in 1960? Were we that close minded about appearance that maybe it played more, intensely to a viewer then because people cared more about other people's appearance? Maybe, I don't know, but I think you're right. It's not of our time. Like the concept feels dated.
It really was like to me, it was like the visual. Like I actually like, I feel like, I buy into just general Twilight Zone hyperbole, it's always like, everything's like, yeah. And so like you were just saying about liking people for their image and stuff like that, I'm okay with that. It's just like I was watching the whole time going like, it's so strange. It's so strange seeing these shots and the way it's done. Like you've seen so much media over time now and entertainment, and you just don't like it's jarring how odd and different it was. And I feel like in 1959 there wasn't enough other stuff before that. Certainly nothing in the realm of sci-fi or like oddities like this, where you would go, this looks weird. It looks weird because it's new. Everything looked weird that they were doing. Everything is weird. Everything's new. But now we've seen so much. It's just like I couldn't watch this without going like, oh my God, this is so obvious. Like it's so obvious. It was just taking me out of it the whole time.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because I love to follow the camera in this episode, but it might even be I like some of the things that you might hate about it, like where the way it follows everything down at that angle and the way they avoid faces.
Yeah, like they did the best they could do. Like it was done. The shed and the lighting will change and just obscure faces. Amazing display of like director photography, all that stuff. But nevertheless, I feel like the best you could do is still me going like, what the fuck are these camera shots? Like, what are you hiding here?
Yeah, like it's going to be
It was incredible. Yeah. It was incredible.
Definitely. It doesn't bury the lead in the right way. It does. There's the force. You're right. There's a lot of different things.
It's very ambitious. That's what it was. They really tried to take on like, and in 59 they hit it out of the park. I'll bet you every single person tuning in that night, their jaw was on the floor by the end of that episode, 100% of the viewers. But I'm just saying, like, show it to a kid now who's like grown up on TikTok and YouTube and just put this in front of them and see if like 5 minutes in they're like, what's going on with these people's face? Why aren't we seeing anybody talking? Like I feel someone would just say something immediately. It's just so weird.
God, I'd be so curious to see that. They'll have people do reactions to hearing like Freebird for the first time and stuff.
I'd love to see that. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I would love to see that. It's such a good idea.
It'd be weird. I wonder, bring a kid over here. Let's force him to watch Twilight Zone.
I'd be really curious what the second, what the newer version is like. Like, how did they approach it? To see, did they do something unique enough where it's like, oh, cool. Like that's how they got around this part and that part,
Yeah. And I wonder how many people would draw, if this were made now, would feel that they need to kind of reference the substance maybe or something, or pay homage to other stories that are kind of telling similar stories.
Or would they show all their faces as normal and be like, okay, we can turn off our masks so that we, don't look like her anymore.
Oh,
we look
yeah,
like
that'd be
ourselves,
peel them off and everyone's Tom Cruise underneath.
It's like the Simpsons movie where Bart's skateboarding through the neighborhood and they keep trying to cover his dong up as he like is obscured by the bushes and stuff.
That was inspired.
I feel like it was inspired by the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I took so what I do is sometimes when I take notes on these, I'll take a portion of the actual script and I'll type it out so that I can capture some moment or something in what they're talking about in the actual dialogue. And I have the longest one I've ever taken before. It is basically the whole conversation between Janet on the bed and the doctor she's talking to. And the whole thing, I don't necessarily want to read the whole thing, and I will, but I could, but
I don't want to, but I'm gonna.
I don't want to, but Freddie's making me. He told off air he said I have to do this.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if it's worth it, but the point being is that this conversation really captures the whole front to back of all the backstory, everything you need to know, all the conflict pretty much that she's running into. And it's kind of a cool, what I liked about it was that clearly neither person is actually speaking. I mean, you're hearing their voices and you're seeing the people kind of mime this movement, but it's all kind of oddly disconnected from the actual. The visuals and the voice look like they're connected, but they're kind of disconnected at the same time.
Feels like ADR or something.
Yeah, which I think it was, because you could hear the doctor's speech at least is totally crystal clear.
Yeah,
and there's like no background sound, so that's got to be done later. But there's these certain moments where he's trying to empathize and talk her through what this might mean, and he's basically like, he starts out with this like, she starts out and says, I'm used to bandages on my face. And he goes, oh, I have no doubt. It's your 9th visit here. And he's like, it is the 9th? And she's like, the 11th. And you can see he kind of like, oh, the 11th. Because as they mentioned, the 11 is the maximum number of experiments you can get to conform and look like everybody else.
And they don't call them surgeries or procedures. It's experiments.
Right.
I don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that kind of ties into something later on too, when we get to the leader later on, because I feel like this is all, I don't know if this is intended to be like a reflection of the Red Scare or what on this whole idea of conformity. But there's some interesting.
It is fun. We don't know what we're doing, but we do know that we can only not know what we're doing 11 times.
Yes,
what
and
happens
we can't
if they did 12?
We can't do plastic surgery, but we have to stop. Yeah, and it's
stop doing what? Weird. We don't know, but we're gonna stop at 11.
The injections, mostly injections. And so she talks about the alternatives, and it was kind of like an unspoken, well, we're not going to talk about the alternative if this doesn't work. And Janet, the character, goes from like pleading. She almost goes through these different stages that you would associate with grief and all that, where she's pleading and then she's angry and then she's raging and then she's like apologizing. And it's a really interesting kind of iteration through all these emotions she's experiencing. And at one point at the very end, she's talking about how angry she is, and the doctor says, well, there are many who share your misfortune, people who look much as you do. Now, one of the alternatives, just in the event that this last treatment is not successful, is simply to allow you to move into a special area in which people of your kind have been congregated. And she's like, my kind? Congregated? You mean segregated. You mean imprisoned, don't you, doctor? You're talking about a ghetto, aren't you? A ghetto designed for freaks.
A ghetto designed for freaks. I love that line.
My favorite kind of ghetto.
Yeah.
And his line, this is the part where it's the first time this is mentioned. He goes, Miss Tyler, now the state is not unsympathetic. I'm like, ooh, the state. We're not unsympathetic. I'm not unsympathetic. The state. And it says, your presence here in this hospital is proof of that. It's doing all it can for you, but you're not being rational, Miss Tyler. Now, you know you can't expect to live any kind of life among normal people.
You know what?
Like, ooh,
This, if you seen or heard of The Uglies, this young adult, it's young adult thing, right?
Paul Westerfield, I think.
Yeah. It's the same idea, right? I just kind of saw a trailer for it, and I feel like it was the quote unquote normal looking people were the uglies or something, and they were being pursued like for crimes against good lookingness or some shit. I don't know.
It's a series of books.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's a series of young adult books, I think, but and I haven't read them, but I imagine it's something like that. The plastic surgery and eugenics or whatever have gotten to such a point where everybody looks perfect, and unless you don't look perfect, and then you're an outcast.
Everybody looks like those cat people.
The people who are all smoothed out and weirdly and
lip fillers.
Faces. Yeah. So then basically she starts fighting back and getting mad, and she says, great line, the state is not God. It hasn't the right to penalize somebody for an accident of birth. It hasn't the right to make ugliness a crime. And she starts yelling out, and finally she gets to the point where she's like, take off the bandages. She's like, take it off me. Please take it off me. And you hear her voice escalate to the point where she's screaming, take it off me. And it's like blood curdling. Like she's deep into this. The acting was really good with that.
I was like that when I was a kid and I didn't want to wear my coat.
Take it off. Take it off. And so finally it gets to the point where he goes, okay, I'll take they basically hold her down in the bed, and she's like, somebody help, please, just take it off. And he's like, okay, I'll take off the bandages. Go get the anesthesiologist or anesthetist. Can never get that word right. So we clip to another scene, and it's the doctor kind of sitting in the lounge, and the nurse comes in, and she's like reflecting. I think it's very like 1960s nurse doctor relationship where they're very kind of touchy.
You're like, that's how it just was with doctors.
Apparently.
He was handsy with everybody, though. That doctor, big hands, he put around the little lady's shoulders. Very intimidating.
Yeah. When at one point he was talking to her in the bed, and he's like holding her shoulder down. It was like, man, watch your hand. You're getting a little graspy. So then basically he's kind of reflecting on this to the nurse, and he's like, well, the thing is I've seen her. She's like, I've seen her too. It's freaky. He's like, no. Like beyond the bandages, beyond the skin deep. He's like, why shouldn't people be allowed to look different? And she shushes him. The nurse shushes him. She's like, quiet. She's like, that's treason. So there's a lot more to this message of like, it's not just the appearance. It's you have to conform according to the state. And if you look out the windows during this episode, you'll notice, I don't know if you see it, the buildings are all identical outside. And so
there's so much like Orwellian 1984, and that was, I think, like 10 years or so earlier than this. But I mean, yeah, this is like stripped right from it. Totally. It's very cool environment.
I feel like the Obsolete Man almost feels like it's in the same world.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And the way this kind of crescendos, of course, is they get to this part where, then it clips to a moment where they're like, the leader is going to be on tonight. Like, the leader? Ooh. And if you look real close, you can see the leader is the first person who looks, you see his actual face. So even when the nurse and the doctor were talking in the dark, you can see, if you look real close with the shading, he doesn't have the makeup on yet. But the first person who does is the leader. And you can hear his speech impacted by it too. So the leader, the screen comes down, she hits a button, and leader is speaking tonight. He goes on in just a few minutes. And he comes on and says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I shall talk to you about glorious conformity, about the delight and ultimate pleasure of our unified society.
What if it was just kiss makeup?
Right, yeah.
Everybody had kiss makeup but her. And the 11 experiments are all the different animals they came up with.
Walrus? No, this isn't right. And so I remember as a kid, I don't know if you guys remember, the bandages seemed like it took forever for them to come off.
Yeah. Really
so they clipped the scene and there's like all around her and they're like, hey, now you got to remember not to freak out. You got to be quiet, calm down. I'm wondering if that was like a technique to keep her calm, but yeah, it was very weird.
I think it was a technique to make us feel uneasy and like tense the whole time.
Yeah. And so from the first clipping of the bandages, it took 3 minutes and 45 seconds to the final reveal. So I thought that was interesting as a kid. I was like, this is still, just take the bandages off. It's all intentional.
Yeah.
And of course the bandages come off and all the nurses gasp and the doctor says, no change at all. And she pulls her hands down her face and she looks up at the camera and she is fucking gorgeous. Looks a lot like Marilyn Monroe, who was actually still alive at that time for another 2 years. And of course, like you said, it's Ellie Mae from
Ellie Mae, Donna Douglas.
And she takes off running through the hallways, and in the background is the leader speaking about conformity, and the music cue is going crazy, and she's swinging around and she's seeing everybody, every single person. Oh, first thing that happens, she goes and slams to the door, and the doctor holds her and wants to put the sedation needle in her, and he turns around, and that's when you first see he looks like a pig-faced, lippy weirdo.
50% of the Pigfest people are on cigarette breaks. At least half.
That makeup is great. It's great even now. I feel it's just so iconic. I was saw that it was allegedly based on William Tuttle recently did The Time Machine, and I guess I haven't seen it, but there's these characters called Morlocks.
The Morlocks,
that he just finished doing, and so I googled them, and sure as shit, they are very similar. From these Google images to these
Is it the same artist? You say? Is it?
William Tuttle. He just got done doing Time Machine, so he had this whole idea, and I guess was just like, I'm just going to make something basically like this.
Oh my god, I never made that connection because they look like that. They got the weird noses.
It's pretty cool.
They're so casual. They're just such casual things.
Yeah. Well, and then like she's running around through the hallways, and there's this great scene of two of them flirting with each other.
Yeah.
And as she run by, the woman turns and you see her, and then the guy comes out from behind her and he's got a cigarette in his mouth, and he's like, what the hell's with that lady?
It's almost like when you see Howard the Duck reading Play Duck magazine or something. That same feeling. Like they're not so different from us.
And so I also captured the leader's speech, which I thought was pretty interesting because some of it's obscured by the music and other stuff. And he says, blanket the earth and infiltrate and weaken. And now we know that there must be a single purpose, a single norm, a single approach, a single entity of peoples, a single virtue, a single morality, a single frame of reference, a single philosophy of government. We must cut out all that is different, like a cancerous growth. It is essential that in this society that we not only have a norm, but that we conform to that norm. Differences weaken us. Variations destroy us. An incredible permissiveness to deviation from this norm is what has ended nations and brought them to their knees. Conformity we must worship and hold sacred. Conformity is the key to survival.
And it's definitely Hitler.
Subtle. Very subtle.
Yeah.
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 Like
he's doing
the hand
arm
motions.
movements.
Yeah.
Totally. And it ends with her crashing through a door and seeing something that scares her so much she kind of falls down. And then the doctor's like, it's okay. This is Mr. Smith. This is Walter Smith. And he's going to take you to where you're going to go. And it just so happens
Furniture guy
into him.
Walters.
And it pans around, and this is your bodybuilder. This is your bohunk, Mr. Gorgeous.
Mr. Gorgeous. Beefcake.
It's funny, he stood out because if you look at him in his left arm, you can see the veins like bulging out of his arm. And I'm like, I never saw that in the 50s. Or the 60s, rather.
They kept that secret in the 60s. It's too phallic.
Dude was so ripped.
Yep.
Yeah. And so they have this conversation. The doctor kind of leaves them to talk, and she's like, okay. And he's like, I think you're going to come to like it. And at some point you might come to love, other people and feel a connection to this community. And of course they have to finish with Mr. Smith. And he goes, yes. She says, why do we have to look like this? And he says, well, I don't know, Miss Tyler. I really don't know. But you know something? It doesn't matter. There's an old saying, a very, very old saying. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. When we leave here, when we go to the village, try to think of that, Miss Tyler. Say it over and over to yourself. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And it's the name of the episode.
Beholder's also one of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons monsters.
Yes. So good.
No beholders in this episode, though.
No, that would have been
It's the only thing.
too on the nose.
Yeah. Only disappointing part.
And it finishes out with the outro with Mr. Serling. Now the questions that come to mind. Where is this place? And when is it? What kind of world where ugliness is the norm and beauty the deviation from that norm? You want an answer? The answer is, it doesn't matter and make any difference. Because the old saying happens to be true. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In this year, or 100 years hence, on this planet or wherever there is human life, perhaps out amongst the stars, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Lesson to be learned in the Twilight Zone.
What's the name of this episode again? I didn't catch that.
Oh, do you hear the alternative? Did you see there's an alternative title? Like
it had, I forget what it was.
Like,
There's some other title.
It's like in a world of darkness or something like that.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's pretty good too.
It was all right. It's no Eye of the Beholder.
It's not, they're all piggy faced with big lips.
I think they actually got sued and they dropped the from the title. Like when it used to be the Eye of the Beholder, somebody
it was a legality thing, as I understand. Like
Really?
Eye of the Beholder, someone else was using that for like an audio play or something, and then Rod Serling was like, "Yo, this is just a phrase. You can't tell me that it's your phrase." And so he ended up getting it back, and I think that's how it went down.
It's interesting.
Nice.
They had to make a whole separate title card because of that, just for a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, just such a good one, but I think you're right, Matt. I think, you look at it now and it's so clear that, but again, hindsight, I don't know if that's one of those things that we would have like glazed over in the past and it's been like, okay, yeah, just these people doing their things and whatever.
It's like Freddy said, I'd love to see a kid reaction video to this.
Yeah. There's no way to know, without going to the source. It's a fresh brain. Fresh brain.
Fresh brain.
I feel like I want to like it. I feel like I should be liking this more than I do, but I couldn't get into it.
You wrote a whole song about it.
Yeah.
It's an iconic episode. It does as best as it can do. It does everything very great, but it's too ambitious. It's too ambitious of an undertaking in this day and age to try and pull off.
So
we've seen too much. We're jaded.
I'm still a pretty big fan of it, but I can see what you see, Matt, for sure. Definitely. Joe, where you land on this one?
I'm torn. I mean, I have a hard time separating the iconicness of it from the rest, but I feel like there's more of an episode. I feel like there's more to this episode that Serling was trying to get in, or maybe Beaumont, about the conformity and all that piece of it.
Yeah, this was Serling.
I love the
cautionary message. Yeah,
the writing's good. And honestly, if somehow that did come through and a kid watched this and was totally surprised, I'd be like, this is a great episode, because then I just know that it's me and the whole, because I've seen it a million times. But I truly believe that in this day and age, it would not hold up to a new viewing. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And then this goes back to being like a top tier episode for me.
My niece is 30. That's about as young as I can probably dig up.
Well, I've got my youngest right now is 16, and then there's another. My girlfriend's son is 6.5, so maybe we need to watch this and get his reaction.
I'm curious to see.
I want to know for sure.
Come back next week.
I made a note even to be like, mention this to my niece.
Awesome.
So, Matt, do you want to set up this track, or do you guys have anything else you want to say about the episode?
Just that, Matt, your whole EP of this stuff is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to
thank you.
other people hearing Eye of the Beholder. I thought it was a great track.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I recorded some Twilight Zone centric songs, 4 songs about Twilight Zone episodes, and one of them is Eye of the Beholder. So I guess that's and this Zoned Out has been gracious enough to shamelessly promote my music from 16 years ago. So it's very nice to you guys.
So if the fifth dimension,
you can find it streaming on all platforms.
Do it. Here we go, guys. Here's Eye of the Beholder.